Welcome everybody to Feedback Friday numero 6. Today we're going to be taking a look at a wedding video shot by our friend Matt Hutchinson. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in and start watching. Okay, so right off the bat, Matt, what I'm going to say is content is king. It's all about what you're actually shooting, and you have about 15 to 20 seconds to capture the attention of your viewer and keep them around for the full 2, 3, 4 minutes. Now, I liked your first two shots. You showed the dress hanging up in the room, the little dresses of the girls. Instead of cutting now to shots of dogs, which aren't very relevant to their wedding, a wedding is between the bride and the groom, so they should be the two highlights. So they should be the first two subjects that you're seeing in the video, not the dogs. So that would be my first piece of advice, is to open this a little bit stronger. I wouldn't have been showing shots of the dogs quite yet, or maybe never. Now we have a shot of the girl doing her hair. A shot of the bride should definitely be coming before shots of dogs.
Across an empty land, I knew the pathway like the back of my hand. I felt the earth beneath my feet, sat by the river.
Again, these are cute shots of the sister or whoever this is, this little girl, but this isn't the focus of the day quite yet. This might be something you throw in maybe one shot, but definitely not two shots with different angles of her being fed, because that's not the point of the video here. We still haven't been introduced to the groom yet, and I would say personally, definitely we would want shots of the groom coming before dogs and before other family members.
And it made me complete. Oh, simple thing, where have you gone?
So that's 4 shots in a row of the little girl. Cute shots, not taken away from them, but not the focus of the wedding video.
Getting tired and I need someone to rely on. I came across.
So her leaving the house happens at 55 seconds into the video. If I were making this, that would happen at about 20, maybe 25 seconds into the video. I would make all of that happen a lot quicker. Her getting ready, that's not the highlight of the video, and that took a full minute. So I would say condense that, cut out the shots of the dog, cut out a lot of the shots of the little girl, maybe one of the shots of the little girl. But let's focus on what this is about, her prepping for her wedding day, and let's get her out of the door quicker.
A fallen tree. I felt the branches of it.
Good glide cam shots, looking solid. Now at 1:03 is the first time we're introduced to the groom, and he should be introduced much earlier. Within the first 10 to 20 seconds of the video, we should see him. So you may not have had good access to him, but in the future you need to try to gain access to him, because it's very crucial to the video to be able to get a few setting up shots of the groom as well, and introducing him earlier on in the video, so the first time you see him isn't when they're actually getting married.
Is this the place we used to love? Is this the place that I've been dreaming of? Oh, simple thing, where have you?
Now, shots like this, again, this is a cutaway shot of a bike. I as a viewer, I don't understand what the relevance is of it. And so maybe a shot like that wouldn't be best to go in at all, unless somehow you're tying in and helping the viewer understand what the significance of that bike is. But just a random shot of a bike isn't super effective unless the audience can understand what importance it has.
Where have you gone? I'm getting old and I
Good
need
shots of
something
the
to
bride and groom
rely
dancing.
on. And if you have a minute, why don't we go talk about it somewhere?
Cute shots. Well done. On these, Matt, my recommendation would be, and this is a little bit higher difficulty level, but you'll notice that the background is in focus and the foreground, your subjects, are equally in focus as the background. And so it's a little bit harder to focus in on what you're supposed to be looking at, especially when you have a big gap of background like this in the center of the image. It's harder for the viewer to stay focused on what they're supposed to be, which is the subject. So my guess is your aperture was somewhere between 10 and 20 on this shot. I would knock that down lower, 2.8 to 5.6, so that you have some depth of field and can get some separation between background and subject to help them pop a little more. That is going to be more difficult though, because then you're going to have to be pulling focus, but if you can get good at that and practice getting that focus down, it's going to make those shots look more cinematic and going to give you that depth of field that allows you to focus better on your subject.
Be the end of everything. So why don't we go somewhere only we know? Somewhere only we know.
Now, I'd like to see your timeline, Matt, to see what frames per second you shot in and what frame per second you edited in, but I'm noticing that the footage is a bit jumpy, and I'm not sure exactly why that is, and so maybe you could provide for me the information of, your timeline, what it looked like. But on a shot like this just comes with practice, but I would try and make it one clean fluid movement. On this, you'll notice that you kind of go left, and then you kind of come back right, and then you're down low, and then you're up high. So you make kind of 3 or 4 different movements within that one glide cam take. Me personally, when I try and make a cinematic shot, I try and get one fluid movement. So a right to left, maybe a right to left with a tilt down, and then cut to a different shot. And that way you're not getting a lot of disorienting movement up and downs. That is a little bit distraction to the viewer in my opinion, and so I always try and make one fluid movement and then cut to a new angle. And I think we linger a little bit too long on this part with them kissing. I would have cut a little bit sooner there. Looks like they're kissing for about 1:53. I mean, 3 or 4 seconds max on that. It starts to get a little bit awkward. They're kind of lingering, sitting there. So I would cut that a little bit sooner there. Again, cute shots of the kid, but not as relevant to the wedding day. Maybe one shot of the kid as a cutaway to fill in the gaps and give you an idea of who was there, but focusing 10 seconds, 3 or 4 shots on a separate character usually doesn't add to the wedding video unless they're playing an integral part of the wedding, and this kid's just playing with an umbrella, which doesn't really play a big part in the wedding. So quick cut to him and get back to the action. Good detail shot. If I were you, Matt, I would use a tighter focal length for detail shots like this. It looks like you're shooting on a wider focal length, like 16 to 20 millimeter. And what that does is it gives you a lot of background. You're seeing all these branches over here. You're seeing her arm. You don't care about that part of the image. We care about the flowers in this shot. So zoom in to 35 millimeter or 50 millimeter, and let's focus in on just what we want to look at. Also, let's create some depth of field, bring our aperture down, put the background out of focus, and that will give us more focus on what you want to focus on.
Where have you gone? I'm getting old and I need.
Now, in the focal length video, I talk about different focal lengths being flattering on the face. We're starting to get pretty close up on some of these face shots here. And yes, it's easier to glide cam at wider focal lengths, but when working with people, it's important to get good at glide camming at tighter focal lengths, because when you're getting this close to people, it's going to be kind of unflattering and distorting and pulling their features and giving you a less flattering look on the faces. So if you're going to be getting this close to your subject, right now you're about 3 to 5 feet away from your subjects. That's too close to be shooting at wide angles. So make sure you zoom in to a tighter focal length when we start to get those close-ups of the human face. These are pretty shots you have here though. Good job with the lighting, using the backlight as a sun flare. Good clean camera movements. Good foreground using the tree. Good job capturing those laughs and those raw moments. That's one of the biggest things with weddings, guys, is this is documentary style filming where you want to run that camera as often as possible because you never know when you're going to capture one of those moments that's very genuine and very candid, and you can't always force that kind of stuff. So keep the camera rolling, and when you're editing, look for those moments that are more exciting, more entertaining than just people standing there. Look for some kind of smiles, laughter, people messing around, having a good time. Anything that's out of the ordinary that isn't just people sitting there, you know, looking at the camera, to help add some movement and emotion to the film. Good shot there. Using the cameraman as foreground. Again, especially on these types of shots where we're doing close-ups on people's faces, the background is just as in focus, if not probably more in focus than our subjects here, who are looking a little bit out of focus because they're kind of close to your camera. So that was one of the biggest things I'd say, Matt, that I'd improve on this video, is finding those focus points. And what I do is, and especially with the DSLR, it's pretty easy. So you pick the point where the focus of your shot is going to be. So right here will be the focus of this shot. I would get this close to him and I'd say, all right, grab focus, and then I'd start the shot so that I know the focus is set for the most important part of my shot. Do that before every shot. Make sure your focus is set and don't just rely on infinity focus and hope that everything's in focus. Practice bumping that aperture down and finding the right focus for every shot. Fun little animation at the end. Well done. Good ending shot. Solid work, Matt. I forgot to mention that this is Matt's first wedding video ever. So given that fact, I thought he did a tremendous job. It was better than my first wedding video that I ever shot. So awesome job, Matt. Definitely a lot of room for improvement, but there should be a lot of room since it is your first film. Matt asked me, how much do you think I could charge for a video like that, as he did this one free for his first video? And I said, I believe you could charge $300 to $500 for a wedding video like that. And obviously the more you do, Matt, the more you're going to improve, and the prices will go up as the demand goes up, as you start putting out better and better content. So yeah, main things to work on: content. Let's focus in on what we're supposed to be focusing in on, is the wedding day and the couple. I'd like to know what frame rates you were shooting at so we can help improve on that. That's one of the biggest things I see some of you guys struggling with, is not understanding frame rates and how to use them correctly, and then using a shallow depth of field and practicing getting those crisp focuses on your subject. But overall, great job, Matt. Amazing job for a first wedding video. So keep it up. If you guys have any further questions, please let me know.